All right. So thanks again, everyone, for joining. My name is Sam Nyberg, and I work with marketing on UOnline. I know I've met a couple of you guys, but everyone who's on this call is pretty much everyone, except for some other folks, are part of the incoming January class. So basically starting next week. So first of all, a huge welcome to you guys. We're extremely excited to have you join UOnline and the University of Miami, and hopefully you guys are too. Yeah, this is really about making sure that you have an opportunity to potentially raise any questions you might have, and also learn from the panelists that we have available on this call. So before we do that, let's go through a couple of things. I'm going to throw out a question right now. I'm not expecting you guys to answer it. I'm sorry, Jonathan, do you have something? Nope. Okay, so I'm going to, don't answer this question, but think about it. Like, how are you feeling right now? It's a week before classes, right? Are you feeling like everything is super awesome? You're really excited. You're really happy about it. It's going to be, the start of an amazing journey. Or are you freaking out a little bit, right? Are you worried, maybe it's been a couple of years since you were in school? Are you worried that, it might be too much? Or are you Ryan Gosling, confident and poised? My guess is it's probably a combination of these, right? And the point I want to make is it's totally okay to feel anxious or to not necessarily know what to expect. I believe everyone on this call has felt that at some point. And that's really why we're here, right? To help ease those fears and also make sure that the learning curve and the ramp up curve is shorter than it needs to be, right? And also so you guys know that you have that support. So a couple of just pieces of advice before we go to the panel. Number one is really to keep calm, and as you're beginning this journey, it's always helpful to think about where you want to go, right? So start with the end in mind. Not so much you want to graduate from right? But where are you hoping this will take you? Is it a new job? Is it a promotion? Is it just, to satisfy that intellectual curiosity? So what I would urge you to do is, as you're in the program and as you're going to hit, the inevitable bump or bumps, think about where you want to go, right? And that always helps. And to help visualize that a little bit more, end of December, we had our second graduating class. And we actually have at least 2 people on this call that will talk about that experience. So this is from that reception we did on campus. And yeah, we had a photo booth on the right there. You'll see, them at the big reception with the other grads in Coral Gables. This will be used soon. You put in the work, you put in the effort, you will soon be master level graduates, right? So don't forget about that. And obviously, like I said, that's not the end goal, right? It's where does that take you beyond that? So it's always good to keep that in mind. The second advice that we'll put out there is, you're starting an online program, but you're not alone. And that might be the case at other schools and other programs. But here you're not becoming an online student. You're becoming a part of the University of Miami community. And that's not just a cliche or a marketing term. That's truly the case. You're going to graduate with the same degree as someone on campus would. You're going to be part of the University of Miami community. And what that means in the long term is that's something that no one can take away from you, right? And in the short term, it means that you have all these people and this infrastructure in place to help you, whether it's, academically, whether it's, managing your time, whether it's something else. There is a team and people in place willing to help you, from your classmates to faculty to the enrollment team, the advising team, the academic advisors, the resources you have on campus. They're all there for you, and it's not a sign of weakness at all to ask for help. It makes it so much easier, when you have each other and you lean on each other. And just to visualize that, up in the left-hand corner here, that's basically the sport admin program that the folks that are on campus graduating with their faculty, many of whom are they're close friends with, right? And in the bottom right-hand corner is most of our EA team there as well. And what these guys all have in common is that passion for the University of Miami and really you guys, right, the students. Because our main objective, and really our only objective, is to enable you to be successful, right? And obviously that takes effort on both sides, but unless you guys get to where you want to go and you feel like this was worth it, we haven't been successful either, and we haven't done our job properly, right? So, what I ask from you guys is, speak up if there's something that doesn't work. If you need help, don't be afraid to ask. If things are awesome, let us know so we can do more of it, right? But this is really why we're all here. All right, so let's get to the stars of this show, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves quickly, and then we're going to open up the Q&A session as well. So, Stacey Humphrey, Stacey, you're on the line. Would you mind unmuting yourself and giving us a quick intro?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I hope you're excited to be teens in the next week. I'm actually a double teen myself, and I'm currently in my second year of the online MBA program. And I'm based in New York City, where I work for a beauty company in e-commerce, managing analytics and CRM.
Awesome. Leslie, are you online?
Yeah, I'm here on the phone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, Leslie. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me as always. I am Leslie Fitzpatrick, and I just graduated with my Master's of Science in Sport Administration. I'm currently based mostly in Toronto, but I go once a week to Buffalo. I run a soccer academy for young elite level soccer players in Toronto, and I have my own academy in Buffalo, so I kind of do the cross-border thing once a week. And I'm just happy to be here and to help and to give back for such a wonderful experience that I just went through.
Yeah, and what Leslie, he's humble. What he doesn't say is he's also an Ivy League grad and a former World Cup soccer player for Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, I leave that part up to you guys to
yeah, I'm your agent here, Leslie.
I know you are.
Raquel, would you mind going next?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Raquel Ronacher. I just recently graduated from the accounting program in December. I'm based out of Miami, and I started the program working for someone else at a big company, and ended the program being a business owner, and started with just me, a small business owner, and we ended up right now we have about 20 employees. So it was a lot of fun, to be to do this program, and at the same time, getting to see my own company being developed.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Raquel. And Nikki, I think you're on. I apologize in advance because I got your picture late. So Nikki's body is not actually that of an ibis. But I did the best I could, Nikki. Do you mind introducing yourself? Nikki, you might be muted. Okay, I'm not sure. I think Nikki's on. Maybe she's having issues with the audio. So let's get back to that. But before we go back to Nikki, Jonathan Burton, who's one of our head enrollment advisors, right? Who's some of you probably have had close interactions with Jonathan, and he'll actually be the moderator for this session from now on. So we'll talk through a little bit of logistics on how to answer questions. But before that, Jonathan, you might give yourself an intro.
Sure. Welcome, everyone, and welcome back to our panelists. And I actually think that Nikki has a really good picture. It's better than my picture, at least. And as Sam said, I am a senior enrollment advisor here at UOnline. Tonight, I'll be taking care of the more logistical questions as it pertains to students' individual cases. You can send those questions in, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Other than that, the more student-based questions, your panelists will be fielding those questions. So welcome again, everyone.
Cool. And Nikki, I'm going to try you again. Can you hear us? Nikki, you might want to try calling in with a cell phone. If you do audio options, and that might work as well. So let's move on real quick. Jonathan, I'll just walk through this. And if you guys don't mind, if you're not talking, please mute your audio. What we're going to do is we're going to use the chat button to ask questions. If everyone can please mute their line, I do get some interference here. But we're going to keep everyone unmuted. Like I said, it's optional to turn on your video. You're going to get to see your classmates, but it's definitely optional. But if you have a question, we're going to start with a couple of questions. On the bottom of your window, you should see a chat bubble. Just put your question in there, and like we said, Jonathan will kind of moderate and toss those questions out. Obviously, if you see several questions that are the same, we might not bring up all of them, right? But yeah, please do that, and let's start this session. So Jonathan, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, as Sam said, tonight I'll be your moderator, so welcome again to everyone. So before we, actually, we had a little bit of feedback, and I'm not sure if everyone heard what Sam was saying. Please send your questions via the chat, and we'll take care of those questions for you. So let's go ahead and get started. Stacy, if you're there, I'm going to send this question over to you because you're still in the program, and this is probably still fresh here for you. The first question is, what can a student expect from the first couple of weeks they get started?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the first couple of weeks were no doubt a shock to my system. I personally had been out of school for quite a bit of time, and so it was a little bit uncomfortable, to be honest, to get into a new format for school and a new routine. But my best advice for the first couple of weeks when you're starting out is to really just settle into what it means to be in school again, and really just experiment with some different routines to find out really what works best for you. So there's definitely going to be a lot of reading, whether it's a textbook or a slide deck or a couple of slide decks. And I would just recommend to try to front load your week and get a head start on the course. Usually the class opens 3 to 5 days before the session actually begins. So that's a really great time to review the syllabus, learn about the faculty, and look through some of your classmates that are going to be in class. It's also a really awesome opportunity to join a group if you have to work on a group project for that specific course. It's good to try to join a group early so that you can, pair up with people and that you don't get left out. So I would really just say to settle into what it means to be in school again, and just let yourself be comfortable with being a little bit uncomfortable at first, and recognize that your peers and your classmates are in the same boat. And like Sam said earlier, you're definitely not alone. So don't be shy about reaching out to classmates or, Jonathan or your enrollment advisor, and IT support and professors for help, because no one wants you to feel like you can't get your questions answered, and everyone's very happy to help.
Perfect. Good advice. To piggyback on what Stacy said, everyone on this call, for the most part at least, are all business students. And it could be quite overwhelming to come back to school after you've been separated from college or just education for quite a while. So like she said, everyone here is here for your success. So please, if you need any assistance at all, particularly in your first couple of weeks, reach out to your academic advisor, reach out to your professor, and even your enrollment advisor. We're all here to assist you. And that leads me to my next question, which I'm going to pitch to Leslie, because Leslie seems to have a very busy schedule. I think he's remote in terms of his business, being in Toronto, then having to travel to Buffalo. So a good question, Leslie, is how do you best manage your time? Or how did you best manage your time when you first started the program? Leslie, did you get that?
Can you guys hear me?
Can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, for me, busy is a great thing. It keeps me out of trouble. So adding something to my plate was, I figured I could do it, but it was overwhelming at the start. And like you said, the focus was really on time management. And I would say, it's just finding those pockets during the day that you're most comfortable with to get stuff done. So for me, for instance, my busy periods in the day traditionally at night when I'm on the field. During the day it's a little bit more flexible because I'm in the office, but I also had, in running my own the academy and being a part owner, it kind of gave me a little bit more freedom, and I have great partners who were able to pick up the slack with some of the day-to-day administration work. So what I did initially was I'm a night owl, so I get off the field at like 9:30 or 10, and I go home, decompress for like an hour or so, and I gave myself like a little bit of a window between like say 11 and 1 a.m., 12 to 2 to get my work in, my assignments in, and then I would try to do the bulk of my reading when I woke up before I went into the office. So I would say like between 10 and 12 in the morning, I'd try to get my reading done. Because then once I got into the office, the day kind of starts flying by and emails start coming in and the regular course of the day. So what I would say the best bet is to try to find that window of opportunity each and every day. So if you can find 2 hours within your day in your schedule to set aside maybe for either getting assignments done or your reading, and then you try to find like another hour or two at a different point. It is sacrifice. It does mean, because I guess most of you, if not all of you, are also employed or have full-time jobs or whatever it is. So it does get challenging, and there are sacrifices to be made in terms of time and sleep. But it's something that I think once you get into the groove of it and the flow of it, you find a lot of ways to make it work. And then the other thing is, towards the middle of the program and straight throughout the end, we developed a really good rapport and friendship with all the other guys and ladies that were graduating in our group. So we decided to work together a lot to help each other, especially on group assignments and stuff. We really leaned on each other for help and assistance, and whether it was help with your reading and like kind of summarizing stuff sometimes from time to time to help others, who might have been challenged in a particular week with stuff. And that was the way that we kind of got through it. So I think just organizing your schedule, organizing your time, and as you know, like especially the discussions and stuff, you might be on one schedule and someone else in your class might be on a totally different schedule. So to organize group activities and all that is not always the easiest thing. But once you communicate a lot and you're able to organize and put your time out there and say, these are the hours that I have that I can work with, I think everyone's flexible, because everyone realizes that they face the same challenges, and you kind of have to work together collaboratively to get it done.
Perfect. Thank you so
much. If I can this is hey, Jonathan, if I can just chime in, I'm seeing in the chat, and it's fantastic, right, that people are introducing themselves to people in their class, right? And I think it ties in with what Leslie was just saying about cooperation. And obviously, you guys will get to meet each other once you're in the classroom and things like that. But if you want to connect before that, if you go in and you like UOnline on Facebook, what we'll do tomorrow is we'll basically do a post with the January class. So if you guys go in and you comment on that, you can meet each other that way. And I think that's probably the easiest way to get in touch before actually classes start, and make those connections right away. So go in and look for UOnline on Facebook, and then tomorrow morning we'll post something, and you can just comment and kind of find each other that way as well.
Fantastic. Actually, we were rated in the top 5 schools for being very interactive on social media. So good information, Sam. I just wanted to piggyback on something that Leslie said, and he said, finding your window of opportunity. As he said that, it brought something to mind. Everyone that's on the call tonight, you're already registered in your classes. And for your first class, your preview window started today. So take this window of opportunity to get a head start on what's offered in that course. So you can get a jump start on your reading, taking a look at what assignments are coming up, get a good feel for the syllabus, start to plan out your schedule and your time, just to be able to ensure you're able to meet those commitments. So good information, Leslie. My next question here, I'm going to send this one over to Raquel. Someone is asking, how do the deliverables work for each week? And what I think this question is saying is basically, what can you anticipate is due each week, and how do you go about getting those assignments in? Is it something through, I guess, Blackboard, something you work out with your classmates? Can you speak to that, Raquel?
Hi. So yes. So basically, the week starts on a Sunday and ends on a Saturday. And basically, you usually have between 2 and 3 chapters per week, to read. I think, like Stacy said before, I kind of got the reading out first. The first few days of the week, you usually have discussion posts, homework, and a weekly quiz. Some classes do have projects, and I guess the best advice I can give for those projects is don't leave them for the last minute. You really need to start seeing the projects on a weekly basis and trying to complete them on a weekly basis and submit them to your professors. That way you're always ahead. So I think Leslie said, organization is basically key, and try to, use your time the best you can so that you can complete all your assignments before the due date, which is usually on a Saturday. It's also important to note that the professors are always there to support. They're always there to support you. They're really great. And if you're going to be late on an assignment, or you cannot submit it by the due date, you can always reach out to them, and they will they will help you out through the class.
Hey, thank you so much, Raquel. We actually had another pretty good question came in, and Nikki, if you're available, we'll try. If not, we'll loop it back around to Leslie. Student is asking, how are groups determined for assignments? Do you always work with the same team? So, Nikki, if you're there, can you handle this one? Okay, Stacy, can you help us out with that one?
Absolutely. It's kind of a case-by-case basis in my experience. In the first couple of courses, we did have some professors make groups for us. But as the program has progressed, I'm now a year and a half in, we generally have the opportunity to sign up for groups ourselves. And my advice on the group front would be to really make a conscious effort to try to join groups with people that you don't already know, because that way you have the chance to maximize the number of people that you can meet in the program. And you also have the opportunity to pick up new skills and learn from different people that you might not have been exposed to otherwise. So it's definitely a combination on a case-by-case basis, depending on the professor and the course, but you will have the opportunity to choose your own groups, and it will also be randomly assigned at times as well.
Good information. Thank you so much, Stacy. Leslie, we're going to go to you next. With the group questions, Leslie, can you offer any tips in terms of working with classmates? From just being a student, I'm sure group work is a significant part of the program. So can you offer any tips, I guess, in getting along or collaborating with your classmates?
Yeah, the group assignments, as challenging as they were probably some of the most rewarding experiences that you have, because as Stacy pointed out, you get a chance to really work with and interface with on different levels the other students in your class. When you're in the discussion boards and stuff, it's all kind of like online, and you don't really have that that closeness in communication. When you start getting into the groups now, you sometimes start exchanging phone numbers, or you might do FaceTime or whatever, just so you get to know people. And I think the one thing with that is being understanding that everybody that you work with probably comes from a different background, a different a way that they study, a way that they get assignments done. For us, our groups were always assigned by the professors, and it was random and arbitrary. So we weren't, but it was also, I think, coordinated by them, so that you weren't working with the same people all the time. And what I would say is, if you have a type A personality, or you know that your time is limited in certain ways, you got to take the initiative in a lot of ways to try to take the lead, to take on some of the tasks that that others might not be able to. That being said, you also want everyone to contribute, because you don't want to, foster a feeling of resentment that you're the only person doing a lot of the work in the group. And I think we've all worked in groups, whether on campus or in workplaces or whatever, and we know how that goes. There's just some people that kind of take the lead, and others who are prepared to kind of sit back and let others, and kind of ride with it. I think the professors also recognize that, and so in some of the group projects, part of your grade was participation. So the other members of the group kind of give a ranking of what percentage of the work everybody contributed to the group, and that factors in as well, in terms of how you're graded. So I'd say, even if you're one of the people that's kind of more comfortable with letting somebody else take the lead, you also want to show that there's some level of value in your contribution. For me, like I said, I definitely knew what my windows were, and I knew in some cases I might have to do a little bit more in some groups, and then in other groups, based on the discussion, I knew that the people in my group in that particular case were probably had similar work ethic to myself and all that, so I felt more comfortable kind of either being on par with them in terms of what I contributed, or even sometimes taking a step back based on what my actual workload was outside of school. So a lot of it, again, goes back to communication and getting a comfort level with the people that you work with.
Good advice. Thank you so much, Leslie. Another question we have here, which I'm going to take care of this one. It says here, with the online format, are there typically a certain number of discussions that you must answer? And if so, is there a particular word count? I'm going to tackle this question. Yes and no. Each professor has their own requirements. So there's some classes where you'll find the professor is really adamant about those discussion questions being answered. And there are other classes where you'll find that the discussion question is optional, where the professor will even reward the student for participating in those questions. Now, I will say this, in terms of a particular word count, I don't think there's a professor that will mandate a word count. However, keep in mind, this is an advanced degree program. This is a graduate level course. We're going to ask the student to provide a very in-depth, well thorough and thought out and insightful discussion post, which gives their classmates an opportunity to learn something and also offer their feedback and sometimes critique on on that particular discussion. Now, if you're going to provide a very thought out discussion, typically that would mean it's upwards of 250 words. We don't want you to write a dissertation, However, it has to be, one, pretty insightful, and two, supported with some type of factual data or citation from somewhere. So keep that in mind when it comes to the discussions, particularly if the professor is going to grade that discussion. If it's optional, again, it's just added, and I'm sure it's value added for you and for your classmates. So you want to, take that as seriously as you can as well. So next question, and I'm going to go to Raquel. Considering you've already graduated, there's a question that came in here. It says, what would you have done differently when you started as you look back in time now?
That's a good question. I think looking back at the whole program, I think what I would have done differently is, in my program, there were 4 projects. And like I said before, you should take care of those projects, if you can in your first week, so basically do the projects as you go along through the course, as opposed to leaving them to the end. So I was able, for the first 2 projects, I kind of did them like that, but for the last 2, I was not able to. And basically, looking back at that, it cost me, it was a little bit challenging to complete those projects in a very short time frame. Even though it is possible, it was very challenging. So I think that looking back, you really want to pace yourself out, and make sure that every week you put a little bit of time to complete all the assignments that you're given.
Good information. So Stacy, we're looping it back around to you. Next question comes in. Stacy, you've been in the program quite a while. Is there a time that you needed help, and where did you go? Did you turn to your professor, your classmates, and how did that turn out for you?
For me, my first kind of go-to has always been my peers and classmates. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to attend the in-person orientation before the program began. And at that session, we exchanged emails and phone numbers with our classmates, so that right from the get-go, we had, kind of a support group of peers to reach out to in the event that we were lost or didn't understand something or had questions. So I frequently text with my classmates, email. I think Leslie even mentioned he video chats, and I've done that too. You definitely establish a rapport and a comfort level with your fellow students, so they're always, my first question or place to go. But then, if there's something technical that happens, for example, there was one instance I can remember pretty recently where there was a storm in New York City, and I live in a pre-war apartment, and my internet went out in the middle of a test. And that's obviously very stressful and traumatic at the time. But student support IT support is readily available 24/7. They are really eager to help. They document your case, and it's really easy to contact the professor and explain the situation, and they'll be very understanding. So in certain cases, depending upon the type of help or guidance you're looking for, you may go to a peer. It might be something that you reach out to technical support for, but I tried to make the professor kind of my last line of defense, just so I could show that I was problem solving and being resourceful in the meantime. But everyone is very available and willing to help. I would say a good piece of advice is to, in the first week of each course, it's always a good idea to ask your professor how they like to be communicated with. Sometimes it's through a TA, sometimes it's through the messaging center directly in Blackboard. Sometimes the professor prefers you to call their direct line in their office or email their direct email address. So it's always just good to clarify in each course from the beginning the best way to reach each professor in the event that you'd like to reach out to them.
Good information. Thank you so much. Leslie, it seems like...
Hi, can you guys hear me by chance?
Sure. Is this Nikki?
Yes. Oh, speaking of technical difficulties.
Okay, well, welcome to the call. Nikki,
Sorry about that, guys.
we're hopefully you were able to hear us. So we're looping the questions around. And since you're on the call now, the next question that came in is, how much time do you estimate you had to spend on average per week in your program? You were in the MS in Finance, so I can say, just as a ballpark figure, it's probably around 25 hours per week. But can you I guess verify that? Is that accurate? Is that a fair estimate?
Yeah, I think it depends, and I think it depends on the week as well as the course of study. You're going to find that some courses are going to come a little bit more naturally to you or a little bit easier, and some of them, the course material might be a little bit more difficult. But I would say that probably about 25 to 30 hours that's probably pretty accurate. You know, I was listening to Leslie talk about balancing a really busy schedule, and you kind of fit it in wherever possible. Like I remember spending, you know, even if I had 45 minutes on my lunch hour, I would, you know, get some reading in, or I would respond to discussion questions. You really have to kind of be flexible. And if you know that you have a vacation or you have something coming up, my advice would be to try and do as much as, I can't remember, someone mentioned before, you know, doing a little bit of reading when the courses open up ahead of time. That was really beneficial to me because I knew that things always come up. Life happens, you know, you go on vacation or you get a lot of work dumped on you. And sometimes it's really hard to squeeze in the coursework. And, you know, the course doesn't stop. It's really fast paced and it's condensed. So I guess I would just, time management is huge, but yeah, I think about 25 to 30 hours is about what you should expect to be spending per week.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your insight. I can definitely attest to that. As a former graduate student, it is pretty demanding, and you should take advantage of those preview times. In terms of the the weekly assignments, yeah, you're right. They never stop. So if you can budget your time ahead of time, definitely take advantage of that time. So good information. Before we go on to the next question, just some housekeeping. Everyone that's on the call tonight, you should already be registered in your class. So not only are you in the preview period right now, but also keep in mind for your first week, which is starting on Monday the 9th, participation is absolutely required for that time frame. So if you're having any technical trouble, definitely reach out to your professor first, but also be sure, like Stacy said, go ahead and contact student support to get that help ticket submitted so we can resolve that issue. This is an online program where we do anticipate, you know, we'll have some technical difficulties, but definitely give us a call, contact us so we can resolve that issue for you, because your attendance is mandatory and your participation is mandatory, especially in week 1. Okay, so just wanted to put that out there. And Leslie, I'm going to pitch this one over to you. Stacy mentioned it quite a bit in terms of how she reached out to her peers first, but you graduated from the sport admin program, and it's a pretty interactive program. So did you find that contacting your professors was your best line of defense, I guess you would say, or you went through your peers or your academic advisor? How did you seek support as you were going through your program?
Yeah, same with me. You know, you kind of look at your totem pole and you reach out to your peers first a lot because they have, you know, they're facing the same challenges and stuff. And I think Raquel was mentioning you wanted to show your professors that level of initiative and your problem solving. So I think we lean heavily on each other first and foremost. I didn't really have to reach out to my student advisor at all during the course of it. The professors, you know, another thing was I was really lucky because I went onto campus 2 or 3 times during the course of the program, and that really helped me because it allowed me to actually meet my professors, and so I was able to build a relationship with them as well. And so then reaching out to them if I did have an issue was never really something that scared me or intimidated me. I think in one of the questions they were asking about did you find emailing the professors to be the most effective way? And I think for some courses, you know, we had one course, the finance course, where we had a specific project that the professor was really the best person to reach out to, because everyone in the class was kind of struggling with what was necessary. And we had to email the professor 2 or 3 times within our group project just to be able to understand exactly what, you know, what he required. And that really helped us work through. The professors are all different. So some of them would tell you to use the course messages as the best way to communicate with them, because they also have their on-campus students and other things that are going on. So they tell you, okay, these are the times. Some of them offered office hours like twice a week, so you can reach out to them during those periods of time. Some of them give you their phone numbers right off the jump, so you can reach out to them via text or phone call. So I think it's just kind of, again, just finding each specific situation and seeing what you feel most comfortable with. But my greatest advice is, like I think Raquel said and Stacy and Nikki kind of brought that to the table, is, you know, you really try to find a way to develop that ability to interact with your classmates, because they're the ones that are kind of going through the same challenges you are. And of course, if it gets to a point that you do need to go up the totem pole to someone higher, your professor, your advisor, they're always there to help.
Thank you so much for that insight. I just want to reassure everyone, we're going to do our best to get to your questions. We do have quite a bit coming in, but Sam is going to log these questions. And keep in mind, this video will also be posted in YouTube as well. For anyone who missed the call, that their questions will be answered. Nikki, since you've been absent for a while, we have a pretty good question here. Did you have any networking opportunities? And if so, how did you seek those out? Nikki, did we lose you again? I think so. So we're going to go to Raquel. Raquel, in your experience throughout the program, were there any networking opportunities, and how were those, I guess, presented to you, or did you have to seek those out?
Sorry, can you guys, oh, sorry.
Should I go ahead?
Sure, go ahead.
So yes, absolutely, there are networking opportunities. The accounting program is a little bit different because it does not have, for example, the group projects. However, you get to interact with all of your classmates on a weekly basis throughout the discussions, and which is something that is really promoted. So you basically can exchange idea with all your classmates throughout the week through this discussion posts. So you get to know them and basically establish a relationship. Also the Blackboard has the feature for you to contact your classmates directly. You can find our contact information there, and basically you can build a relationship like that as well. And then you have also all the weekly calls where everyone in the class basically participates with the professor and gets to know each other.
Thank you, Raquel. Actually, that's a very good point. The build your profile in Blackboard. This way your classmates have an opportunity to see what your career is or what your career goals are. Maybe you share the same interests. So definitely build that profile so you can connect with your classmates. I think we are rounding the last question here, Sam. So did you have anything else, Sam, you wanted to add into the call today?
No, and I think actually Nikki volunteered for something which is fantastic, right? And I think it's a testament to the community and the fact that you are not alone. For privacy reasons, we can't share people's information, but obviously, like Jonathan said, you will see it in Blackboard. But what I would recommend is what I said in the beginning. We're going to post something early tomorrow morning that's public. So if you go to UOnline on Facebook, what I'd love to have happen, I've already seen, some networking starting here. And Nick, if you can comment on there as well, it'd be great if you guys can go in and comment. It's a great way to get to know people, to make friends, and obviously to get to know some of the alumni as well, right? Because like we said, the support doesn't go away once you start. It's there, and it's even there after you graduate, right? So, start networking and do that as much as possible. So yeah, go to Facebook, take a look. But otherwise, I think this has been fantastic. obviously, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. If you don't know who to reach out to, I would start with your enrollment advisor. But then, like has been said multiple times today, everyone's very willing to help. So, start there, and then we'll definitely make sure that we get you to where you need to go. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for jumping on this call late at night. So we're going to make this video available. There's going to be an email with the link to it as well. So thanks, everyone, and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, and welcome to everyone again.